The UK has imposed sanctions on banks, companies, and individuals linked to Russia since the invasion of Ukraine. The government has been under pressure to do more to tackle the flow of Russian money into the UK. However, despite all its efforts, London has earned the nickname Londongrad as the preferred destination for wealthy Russians. Welcome to Brain Sense, where we explore the complexities of the world around us. In this video, we will be understanding how the UK has turned to be a laundromat for Russia's dirty money. Many wealthy individuals and companies from Russia and around the world invest legitimately in UK financial and property markets. But the anti-corruption organization Transparency International has identified at least £1.5 billion of UK property owned by Russians accused of financial crime or with links to the Kremlin. A Home Office report says the UK has seen a significant volume of Russian-linked illicit finance. It is then spent on things like luxury property, cars, and school fees, and sometimes as donations to cultural institutions, which allow individuals to launder their reputation. When it comes to property, which can be owned through companies rather than in the names of individuals, information sometimes does not come easily. The Overseas Company Ownership Database for England and Wales says only 4 of 94,000 properties are listed as being owned by Russian companies. But it's possible that many more property purchases could ultimately be owned by Russian individuals, using companies based overseas in places such as the British Virgin Islands. One example was Alexei Chepa, a Russian politician and businessman, who used a BVI company to buy a 10-bedroom mansion in Holland Park in 2011, and it sold last year for £25 million. His representative said the purchase would have followed absolutely the proper processes as advised at the time. The scale of the use of these offshore companies was revealed in a major leak of almost 12 million documents known as the Pandora Papers in October 2021. It exposed hidden wealth, tax avoidance, and, in some cases, money laundering by some of the world's rich and powerful people. Researchers identified more than 700 offshore companies which owned UK properties and found that 5% of them were owned by Russian citizens. London has long been a popular destination for wealthy Russians to settle in or to purchase property and investments. The UK's Golden Visa Tier 1 visa scheme offered residency to those rich enough to invest £2 million or more in the UK. Holders of the visas were able to apply for permanent residency in the UK along with their families. How quickly they could apply depended on the size of their investment. 2 years with £10 million, 3 years with £5 million, and 5 years with £2 million investment. The Home Office issued 2,581 investor visas to Russian citizens since the scheme was introduced in 2008. It was scrapped by the government on the 17th of February 2022 amid pressure over UK links to Russia. Russian companies have also been able to raise large sums in share sales on the London Stock Exchange. An energy firm N Plus Group was one such beneficiary. At the time of its initial public offering, the company was controlled by Oleg Deripaska, an associate of Russian President Vladimir Putin. A House of Commons report in 2018 called on the government to close the gaps in the sanctions regime that allowed a company such as N Plus to float on the London Stock Exchange. Mr. Deripaska was sanctioned by the UK government on the 10th of March 2022. A lot of the money that comes here is perfectly legal, but tens of billions of pounds of it isn't. So how does Britain help to hide dirty money? If I was an oligarch and I was looking to launder money, I'd probably hire a team. I'd hire a wealth manager and they would suggest various structures into which I could place my wealth. You would basically come up with a system that would diversify your money and make it virtually impossible for investigators to track that money. In 2018, the UK government introduced a mechanism to confiscate property without first seeking a criminal conviction. These unexplained wealth orders, or UWOs, put the onus on the individual to prove where the cash had come from to purchase the property. However, UWOs have been used just 4 times, and only one has resulted in property being surrendered so far. The new economic crime bill is supposed to make UWOs more effective by widening the range of people they can be used on and giving the authorities protection against being hit with legal costs after using them. Another tool available to courts is the account freezing order. It allows courts to freeze funds in a bank or building society if they suspect the money is linked to criminal activity. The introduction of the AFO has been more successful so far than the UWO, according to a report from the Chatham House think tank. It points to action taken against the niece of Syrian President Bashar al-Assad and the son of a former Moldovan prime minister. The Economic Crime Bill, which was approved in Parliament on Monday the 7th of March 2022, also sets up a register of beneficial ownership for property owned by overseas entities. UK is finding tough to take on the dirty money challenge. It is lacking sufficient backing for the police, for the National Crime Agency, and for other agencies that look into this. The British government spends just under £1 billion a year tackling financial crime. However, money laundering is costing the economy over 100 times that. A number of public relations and law firms have come to specialize in helping wealthy foreigners to appear more safely than they might be in reality. But since Russia's invasion of Ukraine, the charm offensive has stalled. If the city is tainted with dirty money, ultimately that's bad for its reputation. UK has had that reputation for years, but it's taken the war in Ukraine for it to change its tune. With the new economic crime bill, no criminal or culprit will be able to hide behind a UK shell company ever again. British officials say this time is very different. Our clear intention is to choke off Russians' use of London as a place to keep or raise money. Some British lawmakers, Russian businessmen, and anti-corruption campaigners are skeptical about stopping Russian money moving in London's housing, financial and energy markets. Even if accounts could be traced, a big obstacle for British sanctions officials seeking to freeze individual accounts held by Russian billionaires could be the multi-layered system of trusts through which most hold their private wealth. In conclusion, these are some of the crucial findings and statistics from the investigative report on how Britain enabled Russia to hide its illicit wealth. It's clear that this report highlights the need for more transparency and stricter regulations in the UK's financial and property markets. We hope this video has been informative and eye-opening. If you found it valuable, please leave a comment below, hit the like button, and share it with your friends and family. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more informative content. Thank you for watching.